How to actually save money during your flight training. This is not going to be one of those posts where they talk about, choosing the most cheapest flight school or saving money by buying used books. All those things are kind of nice, but I don't really think that actually makes or breaks your bank account when it comes to your flight training. But here's actually what I really think might help you save the most amount of money. And these are things that I personally tried on my own from learning from my own mistakes. Unfortunately, I wish I did this earlier, but better late than never. And the number one tip that I have for you that it took me a long time to learn, and that is to fly consistently. And what do I mean by fly consistently? I don't mean fly consistently every weekend, Saturday or Sunday, every single week. No. That's not consistent at all. What I mean by flying consistently is flying at least 5 times a week. If you fly only on the weekends, it gets really busy at the flight school. Everybody, we call them weekend warriors, come out to the flight school. It's really chaotic, and it's going to be a very hard time to find even a spot. Think of going to the mall on the weekends versus going to the mall on the weekdays. The same thing with the flight schools. Fly 5 times a week, but ideally pick those 5 times a week during the weekdays. If you fly consistently over a next couple of 6 months, trust me, you're going to save a lot of money on the flight training, because a mistake that happened to me was that every single time I didn't fly consistent, the first half of the lesson, my instructor had to repeat everything we learned in the previous lesson. And I think I'm pretty smart. I think I can learn things pretty quickly, but when flight training is quite challenging and you get really, really rusty. And every single time my instructor had to repeat the lesson over again. And yes, I was building hours every time we had to redo the lesson, but it also cost me way more money than it should have. So if you fly consistently, it's going to be scary how good you're going to get really fast in your flight training. And the second tip I have for you to help you save money is to study and prepare well in advance before your flight. We call this in the aviation world chair flying, where it's going to sound silly. You basically sit in a chair like this, you close your eyes, and you visualize every single flying maneuver. For example, in a turn, you got to visualize, okay, I'm going to first make sure I'm level in the turn, and then I'm going to bank the aircraft, and through 30 degrees, I'm going to pitch up and add power. That way I can keep level flight in the turn. And you keep doing that and practicing every single maneuver like that, chair flying. It's a lot cheaper. In fact, it's free to sit on your chair at home and just visualize the maneuver over and over and over again. Go into every little small detail of what you're going to do there. And when you practice chair flying, as well as you practice listening to radio calls, maybe you can look at liveatc.net and practice listening to radio calls to get your radio communication game higher. You can even read different material in the flight training manual so you know exactly what to do for the upper airwork flight coming up. Do as much as a preparation beforehand, so when you actually go for your flight with your instructor, it is basically telling your instructor, hey, look, I'm going to show you exactly what I know to do. Yes, you're going to teach me, but I basically know this stuff. I've practiced it many times before. And I'm telling you, it makes a huge, huge difference and saves you a ton of money if you've practiced in advance. And actually, when you become an airline pilot in the future, you're actually going to do the same thing. All your pre-flight planning is actually what's going to make you a better pilot. You do not go flying an airliner from Toronto to Miami and just wing it along the way. You have to do lots of hours of preparation beforehand. Your flight dispatcher is doing a lot of preparation beforehand to make sure the flight is good. You're reviewing the flight, you're reviewing your emergencies before the flight. And when you get to the cockpit and you go flying, everything is now calmed down. Everything is relaxed because you're just executing on everything that you know what to do. So those are my top 2 tips for you to save money. One is being consistent in flying, which I consider to be at least 5 times a week. This takes into account any mechanical cancellations, weather cancellations. And the other thing is to do a lot of preparation. I'm talking about minimum 2 to 4 hours preparation before every single flight. All right. If you found these tips helpful, subscribe to the channel. Please leave a comment below, like the video, and I'll see you in the next one. Take care.